2022 is over. 2023 has just begun. And I wanted to take the time to do a quick summary of 2022. Because it was the most brutal year in our life as a company in Reconvert. I wanted to kind of let you guys know what we learned from that and how we dealt with each one of the things that happened this year. Let's get started. First, and the most major one, is that we lost our entire development team. This is the biggest nightmare of any SaaS or product company out there, losing your entire development team overnight. But it wasn't completely overnight. I won't get into too many details, but we did work with an agency that developed Reconvert from scratch from day one. In the beginning, we offered them a partnership where instead of paying them, they would get a cut from the app. They didn't want to, which makes sense because they had no idea if the app would actually end up being successful. So instead, we paid them for any work hour that they had. That they did. But then after 4 years or 3.5 years of working with us, they got a little frustrated. They felt like they deserved a cut, even though we paid them for everything, even though when we initially asked, they didn't want, and by the time they did want, it was worth too much and we invested too much to give a cut to someone just like that. So that created a rift and some things happened and we ended up parting ways. Neither side really wanted that. Both of us wanted to continue working together. They wanted to continue working with us. We wanted to continue working with them, but they did not want to accept the rules and terms of a non-compete that we set up very clearly. So we had to part ways. To make this something that wasn't overnight, we did, on the contract, I think they had to give us a month or 2 in advance, but we managed to get into an agreement where they stayed with us for a full 12 months, a full year before they stopped working with us. During this year, of course, we paid them for every hour of work, but we had a little more breathing time to find a new development team. And let me tell you, this process was tough. It was tough mentally and emotionally because you're stressed, like suddenly, just like that, the development team is gone. What are we supposed to do? Are we going to find someone new to replace them? Will 1 year be enough? Because the app is not a small one anymore as far as code base and, complexity. But also, you feel betrayed a little bit. These are people that you trust, that you thought you were with for the long haul, and now it feels a little bit like backstabbing. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that they stabbed us in the back, but that's what it feels like. When you feel like you're working with someone and you're happy working with them and you're giving them a lot of your energy and time and commitment, and that is not returned, that is painful. And that's kind of the theme of what happened this year. You'll see. But this one was the most major one as far as the meaning that it had for the company and for the main money-making product. So what did we do? This is a given situation. It's tough. It's not fun. A lot of stress for a few months. But how do we solve it? First step was to make sure that they stay with us for an extra year. That was good for us and for them, kind of weighing out of each other. I think that's how you say it. Second step was we decided that we are going to make some changes as to how we do development. We decided to find a local developer with experience and expertise to be the manager of the development team. Instead of relying completely on an agency that can take everyone all at once, we'll first have a tech lead in the company in-house, and then with the help of this tech lead, we would find developers. And this time, the developers are not going to be part of an agency. They're going to be individual developers working with us individually. That way, if someone leaves, we don't lose all of them. It has some disadvantages. In previous videos, we used to recommend work with an agency because it has a lot of advantages. When you're first starting out and you have no idea what you're doing, an agency can really, really help. But as our experience grew and the company's requirements grew, an agency, we outgrew the idea of working with a development agency and decided to go an in-house team kind of way. We still work with mostly freelancers, but we also have a tech lead here in Israel and another one that we hired pretty recently to be kind of the co-tech lead and help him manage everything. That really set us back as far as releasing new features. For a few months, we released nothing new. We just couldn't. We didn't have the capacity. We were afraid to let the old developers create anything new because the new developers would just have extra things to learn. And once Jonathan, our tech lead, joined, it took a few months for him to kind of learn what's going on, see what needed to change, and start onboarding new developers. This was a tough year for all of us in that regard, and a lot of things didn't move as fast as we wanted them to. But when I look at the bottom line and what is going to happen after this process, we are actually better off for it. It forced us to really look deeper into what was going on in the code and in the product and figure out what do we need to change, what do we need to to improve? And what can we do to make things more efficient? And I think in the end, even though it was really, really tough, it is a good thing that happened. These tough things, a lot of the times, are the engine for growth, personally and professionally. And in this case, it was an engine for growth for Reconvert, for the company and for the product. It really forced us to take a deeper look into what was going on. Not just that, but this, again, like I said, the major one. Let's move on to the next fun thing that happened. Growth stagnated. Growth basically stopped. From the beginning in Reconvert, we grew really fast. Like, we just kind of blew up, hit product market fit really quickly, and kept going and going and going in a really high rate. And then COVID came. And in 2020, with COVID, we blew up just like everything else in e-commerce. If you look at Shopify, at other Shopify apps, e-commerce in general, during COVID, it had a bloom area because no one wanted to leave home and everyone was online shopping. A lot of people were fired, so they tried opening new stores. Our numbers of stores grew a lot. Not necessarily the revenue, but the number of stores did grow. And then 2021 and 2022, things started stagnating. I think up until like the middle of 2022, we were kind of on the same level of growth. Like, I think up until about the middle of 2022, we were about like, going a little bit, going back, going a little. Like, it stayed pretty much the same, stayed even, which is not a good place to be as a company. Not only that, we also brought in new people. When you grow fast, you think, okay, I'm gonna bring in new people to do all of these things that I now don't have time to do, and that's gonna help me grow faster. That's not always true, especially because we didn't necessarily know how to direct their attention to the right things that move the needle, which is something we're still working on. And I think you always learn when you own a company, how to push the right things and not waste time and money on things that are just busy work. And we have a lot of amazing people in the team, but we did bring in new people. We did buy new tools and started doing new things that in the end did not generate the revenue we expected them to. Is it because we didn't focus on the right things? Is it because the market was stagnating? Is it because new competition came in the market? Probably a little bit of all of these things. But the bottom line is we didn't grow. And that is not great. So what did we do? Again, that forced us to really take a hard look at where we're spending money in the company and where should we continue spending it or even increase the budget, where should we stop spending money or at least reduce the budget. We made some difficult choices of letting go of some people, both employees and freelancers. We had to give up on some of our other apps, which I'll talk about in point number 4. We'll see soon. But we basically really buckled down, took a look at our financial reports, started diving more deeply into them and learning where we were spending with a negative ROI. If the ROI is negative, is there something we can do about it? And if not, how can we stop spending money there? That was the main thing. And some things remained. Like this YouTube channel, we don't really make much money out of it. There's some AdSense on YouTube, but it's pocket money. It's not a lot because it's not a big channel, but we still decided to continue operating it. We did decide to kind of put it more on the back burner and just do it wherever we have the desire to sit down and film like I'm doing right now. But we continue to operate it just because we do enjoy it and we like sharing what we're learning here. But mostly we just decided to narrow down the things that we don't need to do and direct our team's focus to the right places. If you're interested in me talking a little bit about what we're actually doing to encourage growth again, to step out of this plateau, I don't know how to say it, but if you're interested in hearing about it, let me know. I will definitely make a video about it. We're doing some interesting things. Some of them we still need to wait to be seen, and some of them are already generating results. So that's cool. It forced us to be better managers. Number 3 is a sell point for our egos. And I'm not going to talk about it too in depth, but we were scammed by someone we had a consulting agreement with. He just basically ghosted us without paying us the money that he owed us, and now he's still saying that he doesn't owe us any money. Again, I'm not going to talk about the details so much. I'm more interested in talking about what we learned from that, and that is to pay closer attention to contracts. We now have an amazing lawyer. Seriously, this is like a gift from the heavens that we have this lawyer, and we get someone who is dedicated with us and helps us kind of make sure we don't sign things that we don't want to sign. And I never signed anything, not even like an influencer waiver. I wouldn't sign anything without this lawyer having a look at it, because I understand that I do not understand legal jargon. I do not understand the meaning behind some of the way that things are phrased in contracts, and I don't trust myself to not miss something. So always let someone who is a professional read it. Number 4 has to do with our support team. Our support team has been entirely from Ukraine, and when the war in Ukraine started, they disappeared. For about 2 months, we barely heard from them. We didn't know even if they were safe or not. We were really worried about them. That's on a personal level. On a business level, we also didn't have a support team. Suddenly, no support, from the point of doing 24/7 support to 0. That meant that we had to start doing support again. And before I expand on that, I don't want to say, I in no way think that this issue that we've gone through is in any way comparable to what the people in Ukraine went through and are going through. So I don't want to get into anything political here. I'm just sharing the experience of how it affected our business personally. But in no way do I think this is the main story of this war, or that anything that I went through compares to what they have went through and are going through. But it did mean that for 2 months, we had no support team. Luckily, by the way, before you guys worry, they are all okay. Our entire team from Ukraine are fine, and we were really happy and relieved to hear back from them. They're even back to working, But for 2 months, we did support. It's so time consuming because when we first started, we used to do support, but we didn't have nearly as many customers back then, and we didn't have nearly as many tickets back then. So unexpectedly, suddenly, our entire time is dedicated to that, to going through tickets, to doing customer support. One of the things we did to handle that is started hiring people from other countries for support. Freelancers, again, the same structure. At the moment our support team were able to come back, they had their jobs back, and we tried to support them as much as we could. But the interesting thing from the business side of doing support full-time for 2 months is that it really forced us to reconnect with our customers. We did shifts between me, Eric, the product managers, and the sales manager, and we learned a lot from that about processes that are not working with support right now, how long it takes the new team to manage bugs. Like the old team would solve bugs in a matter of days, and then suddenly we found out the new team was taking longer because they were not as familiar with the code. So we realized, okay, we need to pause other development processes so that they can get familiar with the code. This is important. We really learned a lot about what our customers are asking for, what kind of processes we expect support to do that either they're not doing because it wasn't implemented correctly, or maybe they're not doing because it doesn't make sense and we didn't know that it didn't make sense. So the one thing that we kind of learned from this process is that we want to do support once a month. We've done it since a few times, not regularly. It's still something that we are trying to work on to get better at, but that keeps me, Eric, the product team, close to the customers. Nothing beats talking to customers, and nothing beats telling to an angry customer who is very, very frustrated, hey, I'm the founder of the company, I'm with you, we're gonna solve this together. Because for some reason, when they hear you're the founder, they get happier and more relaxed really quickly. So that's cool. That's a good power. I feel like a superpower sometimes. Lastly, we found out that some of the extra apps that we developed were money-sucking pipe dreams. 2 apps, EasyCall and Cardi. I love the idea of both of them. I think they have a lot of potential, but either we didn't fully understand the market requirements, like in EasyCall, or we bought a code base that wasn't as good as we thought, like in Cardi, or we just didn't have the resources to really put into expanding these apps, which is true for both of them. We didn't have the time, energy, and money to invest in them the same way we did in Reconvert. We kept waiting for the apps to make more money so that we can invest back into them, and they didn't, and they were not profitable for a while. And this year, because of the profits that stagnated, we had to find out where our money was leaking out to. And ding ding ding, these 2 things were 2 of the main money suckers of the company. So we have reduced significantly the amount of effort we put into each one of these apps. We are not sure yet what to do with them. We might sell them because they do have potential that we just didn't tap into, or maybe we'll let them sit in maintenance mode and make the money that they are making so that they can be profitable. We'll see. We already have an app like that called Shopify. We don't do anything there. Sometimes we fix a bug, but it's profitable. It makes money. Not a lot of money, but money still. That's nice. That's another digital asset that we have. The main thing though is these two products will not only leaking us out of money, they will also leaking out our time. Like, we spend so much energy and time trying to figure them out and get them to work. And Reconvert is the moneymaker. This is the name of the company. This is the main product of the company. And we came to realize, okay, we need to focus. We need to forget about these dreams of like having a suite of products and actually focus on getting our one product to be the best that it could be. And if we have another idea that we're excited about in the future, we can try to get it done. But if we have all of these bird's tails of products that are just there and we're kind of, dragging them along with us, then we don't have the capacity to find anything else that we're excited about. In order to be able to do that, we would have to first get rid of the things that are weighing us down. And that's what we did with these two products. We reduced them significantly, though, both in maintenance mode now until we decide what we want to do with them. I can talk a lot about specifically this point and these products and all the mistakes we did with them, because we did do a lot of mistakes and we learned a lot from that. I mean, the best way to learn about startups, it's dark. Okay, never mind. The best way to learn about product and, managing startups correctly is by failing. Yeah. So these are, thank you. Okay. So these are the 5 main things that made 2022 hellish for us, honestly. There are other things, smaller things that happened, personal things that happened. And this year, as a general, had the title of tough. It was a tough year, but I can't be anything but grateful for how tough it was, because it was the thing that forced us to get better and to improve our business and our company and the way we do things. So I hope this was interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if any of these points interest you, if you want us to talk about it a little bit more. And if you had a tough 2022, let me know. Let's commiserate together. And just so you know, it's gonna be better in 2023 because we decide it's gonna be better and we'll make it better. Have a great year, guys.